Alien Attack Key Planning. The Alien Council gathered in a massive chamber, their figures tall and imposing, cloaked in shadows. Their leader, Supreme Commander Xyrix, stood at the center, his eyes glowing with a cold, calculating light. The room was filled with tension, the air thick with the anticipation of what was to come. "Humans have become a nuisance," Xyrix began, his voice echoing throughout the chamber. "Their presence in the galaxy is a threat to our dominance. They are unpredictable, resilient, and far more resourceful than we anticipated." The council members murmured in agreement. For years, the aliens had watched humans grow stronger, their technology advancing at an alarming rate. What once seemed like a primitive species was now on the brink of becoming a major power in the galaxy. "We underestimated them," Xyrix continued, pacing slowly across the room. "But no longer. It's time to eliminate this threat once and for all." One of the council members, a tall and slender figure named Dralix, stepped forward. "Supreme Commander, we have developed a weapon that will ensure our victory, something that humans will not be able to withstand." Xyrix stopped and turned to Dralix, his eyes narrowing with interest. "Explain." Dralix pressed a button on a device in his hand, and a holographic image appeared in the center of the room. It showed Earth surrounded by floating bombs. "These are oxygen bombs," Dralix explained. "They are designed to target the very element that humans rely on to survive, oxygen. Once deployed, these bombs will release a gas that bonds with the oxygen in the atmosphere, rendering it useless for breathing. Humans will suffocate within minutes." The council members looked at the hologram with satisfaction. The plan was simple yet devastating. Without oxygen, humans would have no chance of survival. Xyrix nodded, impressed. "And you are certain this will work?" "Absolutely," Dralix replied confidently. "We have tested it on other species with similar biological needs. None survived. The humans will suffer the same fate." The Supreme Commander turned to the rest of the council. "This is the weapon we have been waiting for. We will launch the attack in 2 days. Prepare the fleet." As the council members dispersed, Dralix approached Xyrix. "There is one more thing, Supreme Commander." Xyrix raised an eyebrow. "Yes, we have detected some unusual activity on Earth. The humans have been building something, a structure of immense size and complexity. We do not yet know its purpose, but it is heavily guarded. They may be aware that we are planning an attack." Xyrix frowned, his mind racing. "It doesn't matter," he said after a moment. "Whatever they are building, it will be too late. Our bombs will decimate their planet before they have a chance to use it." Dralix nodded, but a hint of uncertainty lingered in his expression. "If you say so, Supreme Commander." Xyrix dismissed him with a wave of his hand. "Do not worry, Dralix. The humans will be nothing more than a memory by the time we are finished with them." The council chamber was now empty, save for Xyrix, who stood alone, staring at the hologram of Earth. He felt a sense of satisfaction knowing that soon the galaxy would be free of the human menace. Their defiance had been amusing for a time, but now it was time to remind them who truly ruled the stars. Meanwhile, on Earth, the humans were unaware of the impending danger. They went about their daily lives, oblivious to the fact that their very survival was being threatened by a powerful alien force. But humanity had always been known for its ability to adapt and survive, even in the face of impossible odds. Xyrix turned off the hologram and left the chamber, confident in his plan. The countdown to the attack had begun, and soon Earth would fall, and the humans would be no more. The Supreme Commander had no doubt in his mind that this would be their final victory. Whispered a warning. The humans had surprised them before. Could they do it again? Xyrix pushed the thought aside, refusing to entertain the possibility. The humans were weak and their time was up. 2 days later, the alien fleet was ready. The oxygen bombs were loaded, the ships were armed, and the countdown had reached 0. Xyrix stood on the bridge of the command ship, watching as the fleet moved into position. "Commence the attack," he ordered. The ships moved in perfect unison, launching the bombs toward Earth. Xyrix watched as the weapons hurtled through space, growing closer to their target with each passing second. Oxygen bombs Kahamla. The skies above Earth were clear and calm, as if nothing could disturb the peace that had settled over the planet. People went about their daily routines, unaware that far above them, An alien fleet was positioning itself for a deadly attack. In the deep void of space, hidden from the eyes of humanity, the alien ships hovered, their weapons primed and ready. On the bridge of the alien command ship, Supreme Commander Xyrix stood with his hands clasped behind his back, his eyes fixed on the screen in front of him. The countdown to the launch of the oxygen bombs was displayed in large, glowing numbers. The moment of truth was approaching. "Are the bombs ready?" Xyrix asked, his voice cold and precise. "They are, Supreme Commander," Dralix replied, his long fingers moving over the control panel. "All systems are green. The bombs will be deployed in 5 minutes." Xyrix nodded, his expression unreadable. "Good. Begin the final sequence." As Dralix initiated the sequence, the other alien officers on the bridge worked in perfect coordination, their movements smooth and efficient. The fleet was prepared to carry out the most devastating attack humanity had ever faced. On Earth, life continued as usual. In the bustling cities, people hurried to work, children played in the parks, and families enjoyed the simple pleasures of life. They had no idea that in just a few moments their world would be turned upside down. High above the planet, the oxygen bombs were released from the alien ships, silently making their way toward Earth. The bombs were sleek and dark, designed to blend into the blackness of space. As they entered the planet's atmosphere, they began to activate, releasing a chemical compound that would bond with the oxygen molecules in the air. Back on the command ship, Xyrix watched as the bombs descended. "We've waited a long time for this moment," he said quietly, more to himself than to anyone else. "The humans will never see it coming." The bombs reached their targets in a matter of minutes. They were aimed at the most densely populated areas: New York, Tokyo, London, and other major cities around the world. As the bombs exploded, they released their deadly payload, spreading the chemical compound into the air. On the ground, the effects were immediate. People started to feel short of breath, their chests tightening as the oxygen in the air became harder to breathe. Panic spread quickly as more and more people began to struggle for air. Hospitals were flooded with patients gasping for breath, and emergency services were overwhelmed. In New York City, Sarah, a young mother, was walking her daughter to school when she felt the first signs of suffocation. At first, she thought it was just a sudden onset of asthma, but when she saw others around her collapsing, she realized something far worse was happening. "Mommy, I can't breathe," her daughter whimpered, clutching her hand. Sarah's heart raced as she picked up her daughter and started running, but with every step, it became harder to breathe. The air felt thick and heavy, like trying to inhale through a straw. She could see people collapsing on the sidewalks, their faces pale and desperate. At that moment, across the world, similar scenes were unfolding. People gasped for air, their bodies instinctively fighting for survival. The skies that had once seemed so clear now felt like a trap, suffocating them with every breath. In Tokyo, a businessman named Hiroshi was in a meeting when he felt the room grow hotter. His colleagues were coughing, struggling to breathe. He realized something terrible was happening. He rushed outside, but the streets were filled with chaos, people collapsing, cars crashing, and the once orderly city descending into madness. Hiroshi tried to find a place with fresh air, but there was none. The entire city was choking. He grabbed his phone to call his family, but the lines were jammed. Desperation took over as he realized he might not make it home. In London, an elderly man named George was tending to his garden when he noticed the birds had stopped singing. He looked up to see them falling from the sky, their tiny bodies lifeless. George clutched his chest as he felt the air grow thin. He stumbled inside, but even there the air was no better. He sank into his chair, gasping for breath, wondering if this was how it would all end. Meanwhile, on the alien command ship, Xyrix and his crew watched the scenes of chaos unfolding on Earth through their monitors. Cities that were once alive with activity were now eerily quiet, with only the sounds of emergency sirens and desperate cries breaking the silence. "It's working perfectly, Supreme Commander," Dralix reported, satisfaction in his voice. "The humans are falling like flies." Xyrix's lips curled into a small, cruel smile. "Excellent. This will be the end of their resistance." Soon, the galaxy will be ours. But just as they were about to celebrate their victory, something unexpected happened. Reports began to come in from different parts of Earth. Some humans were surviving. Despite the overwhelming odds, pockets of resistance were emerging. In some areas, the air was clearing, and people were beginning to breathe again. Xyrix's smile faded as he watched the monitors. How is this possible? They should all be dead by now. Dralix quickly analyzed the data, his hands moving frantically over the controls. It appears that the humans have developed some kind of countermeasure. They're fighting back! Xyrix's eyes narrowed in disbelief. This wasn't supposed to happen. They weren't supposed to survive, but survive they did. And as the oxygen bombs began to lose their effectiveness, humanity's will to live only grew stronger. Humans surviving Karna. As the deadly oxygen bombs spread their toxic effects across Earth, chaos reigned in the cities and towns. But as the initial wave of panic began to subside, a different kind of energy started to take hold. Humanity, known for its resilience, began to fight back against the seemingly insurmountable odds. In a remote laboratory deep underground, Dr. Emily Carter, a leading scientist in atmospheric studies, was racing against time. She had been monitoring the atmospheric changes ever since the first bomb hit. Her team had been working on a project that until now seemed purely theoretical, a way to neutralize harmful chemicals in the air. Little did they know, this project would become humanity's last hope. "Emily, the readings are off the charts," one of her assistants shouted, looking at the data streaming in on the monitors. "I know," Emily replied, her voice tense but focused. "But we have no choice. We need to deploy the neutralizers now." The neutralizers were small devices designed to release a chemical that could counteract the effects of the alien bombs. They were originally intended for use in industrial pollution, but now they had to work on a global scale. Emily had no time to test them fully. She could only hope that they would work. "Prepare to deploy the neutralizers across all major cities," Emily ordered. "We need to create safe zones where people can breathe again." Her team sprang into action, activating the devices that had been strategically placed around the world. Within minutes, the neutralizers began to work, releasing a mist that slowly started to bond with the toxic chemicals in the air. In areas where the devices were deployed, the air began to clear, and people started to breathe easier. In New York, Sarah was still clutching her daughter, her breath coming in ragged gasps. She felt like she was about to collapse when, suddenly, the air around her began to change. It was subtle at first, but then she realized she could breathe more easily. The heavy, suffocating feeling started to lift. "Mommy, I can breathe!" her daughter exclaimed, her eyes wide with relief. Sarah looked around, seeing others slowly getting to their feet, taking deep breaths of the newly purified air. Tears of relief welled up in her eyes as she hugged her daughter tightly. They had survived, at least for now. In Tokyo, Hiroshi watched in amazement as the thick haze that had blanketed the city began to dissipate. He took a cautious breath and realized the air was no longer deadly. People around him were also beginning to recover, their expressions shifting from fear to cautious hope. "What's happening?" a man next to Hiroshi asked, bewildered. Hiroshi shook his head, still trying to process what was happening. "I don't know, but it looks like we're getting a second chance." In London, George sat in his garden, the air around him clearing as well. He took deep, grateful breaths, feeling life returning to his lungs. He looked up at the sky, silently thanking whatever force had spared them from certain death. Meanwhile, on the alien command ship, Supreme Commander Xyrix was watching the monitors in disbelief. The images of chaos and destruction were now being replaced by scenes of recovery. The humans were not only surviving, they were starting to thrive again. "How is this possible?" Xyrix growled, turning to Dralix. The bombs were supposed to be unstoppable. Dralix, his confidence shaken, quickly analyzed the data. "It seems the humans have developed some sort of countermeasure. They're using technology to purify the air and neutralize the effects of our bombs." Xyrix's eyes blazed with anger. "This was not in our calculations. How could we have underestimated them again?" On Earth, the situation was far from over, but the tide was turning. Governments around the world quickly coordinated efforts to deploy more neutralizers, working with Emily and her team. Communication networks were back online, and news of the recovery spread rapidly. People who had been hiding in fear began to emerge, cautiously stepping into the sunlight, hopeful for the first time since the attack began. In the underground lab, Emily and her team were exhausted but determined. They knew they had bought humanity some time, but the threat was far from over. "Emily, the neutralizers are working, but we need more," one of her assistants said, looking at the data. "I know," Emily replied, rubbing her temples. "We're running low on supplies, but we have to keep going. Every minute counts." Suddenly, a message came through on the emergency broadcast system. It was from the United Nations, urging all capable citizens to assist in deploying more neutralizers and to take shelter in areas where the devices were already active. The world was coming together in a way that hadn't been seen in decades, united against a common enemy. Across the globe, people began to rally. Engineers, scientists, and volunteers worked day and night to build and deploy more neutralizers. Military forces provided protection, ensuring the devices could be set up in even the most dangerous areas. The human spirit of survival, creativity, and cooperation was shining brighter than ever. As more cities were cleared of the toxic air, the alien forces began to lose their advantage. The once smug Supreme Commander Xyrix was now filled with doubt and frustration. His plan had been perfect on paper, but he had underestimated humanity's will to survive. "Supreme Commander, what are your orders?" Dralix asked nervously. Xyrix's mind raced, trying to come up with a new strategy. But deep down, he knew that the humans had surprised them yet again. They had not only survived the oxygen bombs, but they were now turning the tables. The battle was far from over, but the aliens were beginning to realize that defeating humanity would not be as easy as they had thought. And so, as the sun set on a day that had seen both terror and triumph, humanity stood stronger, ready to face whatever came next. Humans, Kajawabi Hamla. With the immediate threat of the oxygen bombs now somewhat under control, humanity began to regroup and assess the situation. The coordinated efforts to clear the air and help those affected had sparked a new determination among people worldwide. The world was recovering, but the scars of the attack were still fresh. It was time for humanity to turn the tables. In a high-tech command center buried deep beneath the surface of the Earth, leaders from various nations and top military strategists gathered. The room was filled with a tense energy as they discussed their next move. The failure of the alien attack had ignited a burning desire for revenge and justice. General Michael Harris, a decorated military leader, stood at the head of the table, addressing the assembled team. "We've been given a second chance," he said, his voice filled with resolve. "The aliens have underestimated our resilience. It's time we show them what humanity is truly capable of." Dr. Emily Carter, the scientist who had developed the neutralizers, was also present. She had been working tirelessly to develop countermeasures and new strategies. "We've already seen that their attack was devastating but not flawless," she said. "We need to hit back with precision and force." The strategy session was intense, with teams working on various fronts. One team focused on analyzing alien technology to understand their weaknesses, while another worked on weaponizing the neutralizer technology to create a new offensive weapon. The goal was clear: strike back at the alien fleet and make them regret ever attacking Earth. Back on the alien command ship, Supreme Commander Xyrix was facing mounting pressure. The initial success of the oxygen bombs was fading as humans adapted and began to recover. The images of their once powerful attack now showed the relentless efforts of the humans fighting back. Xyrix knew that the situation was dire. "Supreme Commander, we've detected unusual activity from Earth," Dralix reported, his voice filled with anxiety. "The humans are preparing for a counterattack." Xyrix's eyes narrowed in anger. How could they recover so quickly? "We need to be prepared for whatever they're planning." As Earth's leaders finalized their plans, General Harris addressed the global military forces. "We've developed a new weapon based on the neutralizers. It's designed to disrupt their technology and weaken their defenses. We're launching a coordinated strike on their fleet." The plan was ambitious. The new weapon, dubbed the EMP neutralizer, was designed to create an electromagnetic pulse that would disable the alien ship's systems, making them vulnerable to attack. The weapon had been tested in simulations and was ready for deployment. The time for action arrived. As night fell, the skies were once again filled with the sounds of spacecraft. The Earth's forces had joined together, their ships armed and ready for the assault. The EMP neutralizers were loaded onto the attack vessels, and the countdown to launch began. On the command ship, Xerix watched as the Earth's forces prepared for their attack. He could see the intensity of their preparation and the determination in their movements. "Prepare for a defensive maneuver," he ordered. "We cannot let them get close." The battle began with a fierce exchange of fire. Alien ships, once so confident, now found themselves under heavy assault. The EMP neutralizers were launched, their powerful pulses streaking through space and striking the alien fleet. One by one, the alien ships began to falter as their systems were disrupted. In the midst of the chaos, Earth's forces pressed their advantage. Ships maneuvered skillfully, targeting the now vulnerable alien vessels. The alien fleet, previously so dominant, struggled to respond as their technology failed them. The tide of battle was turning. On the alien command ship, Xerix struggled to regain control. "Dralix, what's happening? Why can't we control our ships?" Dralix's face was a mask of frustration. "The EMP neutralizers are disabling our systems. We're losing control of the fleet." The alien forces fought back desperately, but their once formidable weapons were now largely ineffective. Earth's forces continued their assault, their resolve unwavering. The attack was relentless, and the alien ships that had once threatened humanity were now being systematically destroyed. Back on Earth, the sight of the counterattack's success was met with cheers and celebration. People watched as the news broadcast showed the alien fleet in disarray, their advanced technology failing under the pressure of humanity's new weapon. In the command center, General Harris and Dr. Carter watched the unfolding victory with a mixture of relief and pride. "We did it," Harris said, a note of triumph in his voice. "We've turned the tables." Emily nodded, her exhaustion momentarily forgotten. "This is just the beginning. We need to ensure they can't come back and try again." As the battle raged on, the alien fleet continued to suffer. The EMP neutralizers had proven to be a game-changer, and the alien forces were retreating in disarray. Xerix, once so confident, was now grappling with the reality of defeat. "Retreat!" Xerix bellowed, his voice filled with desperation. "We have to get out of here before they destroy us all!" The remaining alien ships began their retreat, leaving behind a battlefield littered with the wreckage of their once powerful fleet. The humans had achieved a significant victory, but they knew the fight was far from over. The aliens would likely regroup and plan their next move. As dawn broke over Earth, it marked a new chapter in humanity's fight for survival. The world was still recovering from the attack, but now there was hope. The successful counterattack had shown that humanity was not only able to endure, but also to retaliate with strength and determination. General Harris, Emily Carter, and the countless individuals who had contributed to this victory stood ready for whatever came next. The battle for Earth had shifted in favor of humanity, but the war was far from over. For now, though, there was a sense of accomplishment and a renewed resolve to protect their world from any future threats. Humans ki chupi takat. After their stunning counterattack, humanity stood victorious but aware that the fight was far from over. As the alien fleet retreated, leaving behind the debris of their failed invasion, Earth's forces began to assess the damage and prepare for the future. But while the immediate threat had been repelled, there was an underlying strength that humans had yet to reveal, a hidden power that would soon make its presence known. In a secure facility located in the heart of a vast mountain range, a group of scientists and military leaders gathered. They were not only analyzing the recent battle, but also discussing how to harness and expand on their newfound technologies. Dr. Emily Carter, who had played a crucial role in developing the EMP neutralizers, was at the center of these discussions. "Emily, we've successfully repelled the aliens, but we need to be ready for their return," General Harris said. "What else do we have up our sleeves?" Emily looked thoughtful as she considered the question. "Our recent victory has shown us that we can create effective countermeasures. But we've also been working on other projects that we haven't fully revealed yet. One of her team members, Dr. Alex Patel, stepped forward. We've been developing advanced energy weapons and defensive shields. These technologies are still in the experimental stages, but they could provide us with a significant edge if the aliens come back. General Harris nodded, intrigued. Show us what you've got. In a high-security testing chamber, Dr. Patel and his team demonstrated the new technology. The chamber was filled with an array of devices, each more advanced than the last. Among them were energy shields capable of deflecting powerful blasts and energy weapons designed to breach the toughest alien armor. We call this the photon shield, Dr. Patel explained as he activated one of the devices. A shimmering barrier appeared, blocking an incoming energy beam with ease. It's designed to absorb and neutralize enemy fire. Emily stepped forward to showcase the new energy weapon. And this is the plasma cannon. It fires a concentrated beam of plasma that can cut through nearly any material. The general watched in awe as the plasma cannon sliced through a metal target with precision. Impressive. If we can deploy these technologies, we'll be far better prepared for the next encounter. As the days passed, the news of humanity's hidden technological advancements spread through the global command network. The military forces were briefed on the new technologies, and plans were set to integrate them into their defenses and offense strategies. The world was brimming with renewed confidence, knowing that they had more to offer than just their immediate countermeasures. In the alien command ship, Supreme Commander Xyrix was still reeling from the unexpected defeat. His fleet had suffered heavy losses, and the retreat had been a humiliating blow. Xyrix was determined to regroup and plan the next move, but the humans' resilience and hidden capabilities were a growing concern. Supreme Commander, Dralix said, entering the command room with a worried expression. Our scouts have reported that the humans have developed new technologies. They're not just relying on the EMP neutralizers. Xyrix's eyes narrowed in frustration. What kind of technologies? Dralix handed over a report detailing the new energy weapons and defensive systems. They've developed energy shields and plasma cannons. These could potentially turn the tide of any future battle. Xyrix slammed his fist on the console, his anger evident. We underestimated their capabilities. We need to prepare for a more advanced assault. Our current strategies may not be enough. Back on Earth, the development of the new technologies continued at full speed. Military forces conducted extensive drills and training exercises with the new weapons, preparing for the possibility of another alien attack. The advanced equipment was deployed across key military installations and strategic locations, ensuring that humanity would be ready. In a secret underground facility, Emily Carter and her team were working on an even more ambitious project, a prototype of a space-based defense system. The goal was to create a network of satellites capable of detecting and intercepting alien ships before they could reach Earth. Emily, the space defense system is coming along, but we're running into some technical issues, one of her engineers reported. We need to fine-tune the targeting algorithms. Emily nodded, her face determined. We're on a tight schedule. Every minute counts. We need to make sure this system is operational as soon as possible. The urgency of the situation was palpable. The threat of another alien attack loomed large, and humanity's hidden strength was their best chance at survival. The advanced technologies and defense systems were not just innovations, they were essential tools for safeguarding Earth. As the preparations continued, Earth's forces maintained a vigilant watch. Satellite feeds and reconnaissance missions kept a close eye on alien activities, and any sign of a potential threat was met with swift and coordinated responses. The hidden power of humanity was no longer just a concept. It was becoming a reality. The technological advancements and strategic preparations were a testament to human ingenuity and determination. The next chapter in the struggle against the alien invaders was approaching, and humanity was ready to face it head-on. General Harris and Dr. Carter knew that the battle was far from over, but they also knew that they had the tools and the willpower to turn the tide. The fight for Earth was not just about survival, it was about demonstrating the full extent of humanity's capabilities and ensuring that their world remained safe from any future threats. Acre battle. After the successful demonstration of their new technologies, Humanity was on high alert. The alien forces, now aware of the advanced defenses and offensive capabilities that Earth had developed, were preparing for what would be a decisive confrontation. Both sides understood that this would be the ultimate test of their strength and strategy. In the weeks following the reveal of Earth's hidden technologies, intelligence reports indicated increased alien activity near the edge of the solar system. The alien command had regrouped and was planning a massive assault to break through Earth's defenses once and for all. The atmosphere of anticipation and tension was palpable among Earth's military leaders. In a high-security command center, General Michael Harris and Dr. Emily Carter stood before a large digital map displaying the positions of both Earth's and the alien forces. The map was filled with flashing indicators and tactical data, highlighting the seriousness of the situation. "The aliens are preparing for a full-scale invasion," General Harris said, his voice steady but filled with determination. "We need to be ready for their assault. This will be the final battle." Emily nodded, her face reflecting the gravity of the situation. "Our new technologies are fully operational. The photon shields and plasma cannons are ready, and the space-based defense system is in place. We've also increased patrols and reconnaissance missions to track their movements. The plan was straightforward but ambitious. Earth's forces would face the alien fleet in a decisive space battle, using their advanced weapons and defensive systems to turn the tide in their favor. The goal was to destroy the alien fleet and prevent any further attacks. As the day of the battle approached, the military forces around the world went into full readiness mode. Ships were armed, fighters were launched, and troops were stationed at critical locations. The entire planet was mobilizing for the fight of their lives. On the alien command ship, Supreme Commander Xyrix was finalizing the details of their attack. The mood among the alien commanders was tense, with each one aware that the upcoming battle could determine the fate of their campaign against Earth. "Prepare the fleet for immediate deployment," Xyrix ordered. "We cannot afford to underestimate the humans any longer. This will be a decisive engagement." The alien fleet, now larger and more heavily armed than before, moved into position. The ships were equipped with new weapons and armor, reflecting their determination to overwhelm Earth's defenses. Xyrix was resolute in his plan to crush humanity's resistance. As the alien fleet approached, Earth's forces were ready. The space-based defense system was online, scanning the void for any signs of an impending attack. The photon shields were activated, and the plasma cannons were primed for action. The battle began with a sudden explosion of activity. Alien ships emerged from the void, their weapons blazing as they targeted Earth's defenses. The sky lit up with the exchange of energy beams and explosions. Earth's forces responded with equal ferocity, their plasma cannons cutting through the alien ship's defenses. In the command center, General Harris watched the battle unfold. The aliens are launching their main assault. "Deploy the space-based defense system and activate the photon shields." The defense system sprang into action, intercepting incoming alien projectiles and disabling several enemy ships with precision. The photon shields held firm against the alien attacks, protecting Earth's forces from the most devastating hits. Despite the initial successes, the battle was far from easy. The alien fleet was relentless, and their new weapons were powerful. The fight was intense, with both sides suffering heavy losses. Each moment was a test of endurance and strategy. As the battle raged, Dr. Emily Carter coordinated the deployment of additional reinforcements. She was in constant communication with field commanders, ensuring that the new technologies were used to their fullest potential. "We're holding our ground," she reported to General Harris. "But the aliens are pushing hard. We need to make sure our forces stay coordinated." General Harris nodded, his face showing the strain of command. "We need to counterattack. Concentrate our fire on their command ship. If we can take down Xyrix's ship, it might disrupt their coordination." The command ship was a massive target, heavily armored, but vulnerable if the right strategies were employed. Earth's forces concentrated their firepower, focusing on the alien flagship. The plasma cannons unleashed their full power, targeting weak points in the ship's armor. On the alien command ship, Xyrix was struggling to maintain control. "Our forces are being overwhelmed. Redouble our efforts to break through their defenses. We cannot lose now." As the battle intensified, Earth's forces pressed their advantage. The coordinated strikes on the command ship began to take their toll. Explosions rocked the alien flagship and its systems began to fail. With a final, decisive attack, Earth's forces succeeded in crippling the alien command ship. The flagship's destruction sent shockwaves through the remaining alien fleet. Ships that had been fighting fiercely began to retreat, their morale shattered by the loss of their leader. General Harris and his team watched as the alien fleet broke apart, the remaining ships fleeing the battlefield. The victory was hard-won, but it was a testament to humanity's strength and resilience. As the smoke of battle cleared and the debris settled, Earth's forces began to assess the damage and celebrate their hard-earned victory. The alien threat had been repelled, and the fight for survival had been met with extraordinary bravery and innovation. Dr. Emily Carter took a moment to reflect on the battle. "We've shown the galaxy that humanity is not to be underestimated. This victory is a testament to our strength and unity," General Harris agreed, his expression one of pride and relief. "The battle is won, but the war is over. We'll be ready for whatever comes next." With the alien fleet defeated and Earth's defenses holding strong, humanity looked to the future with renewed hope and determination. The victory marked the beginning of a new era, one where Earth's hidden power had been fully revealed, and where the resilience of the human spirit had triumphed against all odds. Jeet Ka Jashan. As the dust settled from the climactic battle, Earth's defenders emerged victorious. The alien fleet, once a formidable force, was now a scattered remnant retreating into the depths of space. The skies were clear, and the tension that had gripped the world for weeks began to lift. In the heart of the capital city, preparations were underway for a grand celebration. The victory had been hard-earned, and humanity was ready to honor the courage and resilience that had turned the tide of the battle. The atmosphere was one of jubilation and relief, with citizens eagerly awaiting the chance to celebrate their hard-won triumph. General Michael Harris and Dr. Emily Carter stood on the steps of the Grand Hall where the main celebrations would take place. Both were weary but filled with a deep sense of pride and accomplishment. The Grand Hall was decorated with flags, lights, and banners celebrating the victory. "The battle is over," General Harris said, looking around at the preparations. "It's time to celebrate our victory and honor those who made it possible." Emily nodded, her eyes reflecting the excitement, and, as the sun set and night fell, the Grand Hall filled with people from all walks of life. Soldiers, scientists, and civilians gathered to commemorate their shared victory. Music played, and the air was filled with laughter and cheers. The scene was one of unity and collective pride. The evening began with a ceremonial speech. General Harris took the stage, addressing the crowd with heartfelt words. "Tonight, we celebrate not just a victory in battle, but the strength of our spirit and the unity that has brought us through. Each of you played a crucial role in defending our world. This victory is yours." The crowd erupted into applause, their cheers echoing through the night. The celebration continued with a series of performances, showcasing the diverse talents of Earth's people. There were musical acts, dance performances, and theatrical displays that captured the joy and relief of the moment. Dr. Emily Carter also took the stage to share her thoughts. This victory was not achieved by any one person or group. It was a combined effort of everyone: scientists, engineers, soldiers, and civilians. We have shown that together we can overcome any challenge. The crowd cheered in agreement, their spirits lifted by the words of their leaders. The evening was a time to reflect on the hardships endured and the triumphs achieved. It was a celebration of the indomitable human spirit that had faced down a formidable threat and emerged victorious. As the festivities continued, the mood was one of optimism and hope. The people of Earth were not only celebrating a military victory, but also looking forward to a future where their unity and strength would serve as a foundation for further progress. Among the attendees were some of the key figures who had played a vital role in the battle. Scientists who had developed the new technologies, soldiers who had fought bravely, and civilians who had supported the war effort were all honored for their contributions. Awards were presented, and personal stories of bravery and innovation were shared, adding a personal touch to the celebration. One of the highlights of the evening was a special tribute to the fallen. A moment of silence was observed, and names were read aloud to honor those who had sacrificed their lives for the defense of Earth. The crowd stood in solemn respect, their heads bowed in remembrance. After the tribute, a dazzling fireworks display illuminated the night sky. The fireworks were not just a spectacle, but a symbol of the bright future that lay ahead. The lights and colors filled the sky, reflecting the hope and joy of a world that had come together in the face of adversity. As the night drew to a close, the celebration continued with a sense of accomplishment and camaraderie. The people of Earth knew that while the battle had been won, the challenges ahead would require continued vigilance and cooperation. But for that night, they allowed themselves to revel in their victory and the promise of a brighter future. Dr. Emily Carter and General Harris looked on with satisfaction as the celebrations continued. They knew that the victory was not just about defeating an enemy, but about affirming the strength and resilience of humanity. The event was a reminder of what could be achieved when people came together with a common purpose. The celebration was more than just a party, it was a reaffirmation of humanity's commitment to progress, unity, and peace. It was a time to celebrate not just the end of a conflict, but the beginning of a new chapter where Earth stood as a beacon of strength and hope. As the final fireworks faded and the crowd began to disperse, the leaders of Earth looked toward the future with renewed determination. The victory had been a testament to human ingenuity and courage, and it was a foundation upon which they would build a brighter tomorrow. The night ended with a sense of unity and optimism, a celebration of humanity's triumph over adversity, and a promise of a future where the strength and spirit of Earth's people would continue to shine brightly.